No way.
Felger was trying to smoke a cigar and like mix drinks in the background. So it was all
I'm
good.
sure.
No, so yeah, we'll get right into it, Mazz. Obviously, kind of like we told Felger, just a lot of like maybe not that much current events, but more stuff that we just don't know about you.
Sure.
Beyond like what we hear on the radio. So
No worries.
without further ado. All right. Without further ado, this is episode 82 of the Morse Code Podcast. I'm Sophie Priap. Dan Morse is here with me, but we got a very special guest, the second, probably better half of Felger and Mazz. I don't know how he got his last name in the second half of the title, but this is Tony Massarotti. How are you, sir? Thanks for coming on.
I'm good. How you guys doing? Thanks for the invitation.
My pleasure. Very well.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
3 feet of snow to come dump on us just in time. Actually, I'm going to start there if you don't mind.
Yeah, right. Go right ahead.
The meteorologist portion of our show. So I have a question. I think you guys were kind of talking about today on air. All things considered, traditionally, you guys would be in Tampa, Florida right now. No?
We would. Yeah.
And now we're getting about the worst storm so far of the year. I'm going to ask you straight up. Do you think Goodell has his hands in this? What's going on here?
Yeah, it's another Goodell league conspiracy against the Patriots, or to screw the Patriots media now. So no, look, a couple of weeks ago, Felger brought this up on the show and said, "Are we going to miss going this year?" And I said, "No," and I meant no. Under the pandemic conditions. I thought that's what he meant. Like he meant as, no, are we going to miss going, assuming that it were normal? I thought he meant, are we going to go in the middle of a pandemic? And what would that? I said, it's going to suck this year. Like who wants to go this year?
Yeah.
And so but in retrospect, had I known Brady was going to be in, pandemic or no pandemic, I'd have gotten my ass down there. I think it'd been worth it. But look, obviously there are going to be no guests, stuff like that. And, but it would have been nice to, to have the conversation with people of, has Tom Brady proven that it's the quarterback and not the coach, and it's, no, it's obviously it's been a
hot take.
Central topic for us for a while, right? Exactly. Wouldn't have stopped us from asking just about anybody that walked by though. We would have pulled that one off.
Yeah.
Some say the jury is no longer out and we have the answer, but that's for another show.
No boy.
Tony, one of the things I wanted to ask you, Felger had mentioned that, we know that he's the curmudgeon-y type and the grumpy guy on the show, but he did say that you're extremely social as far as the whole station goes. Are there any stories that you can tell us about, I don't know, just behind the scenes shit that the normal person wouldn't know? Like I asked him if Zolax ever like farted in his chair right before leaving the studio, anything like that.
Well, so, I never actually see Zoe in his chair when I get in there, because by the time when I walk in is literally after they sign off.
Yeah.
And so Zoe's out of that chair so fast, like he couldn't possibly be in the seat. So, but whether he's sitting or standing is really irrelevant to the point. Your general question is, has he ever, let one fly as he's walking out and I'm going past him into the studio? My answer would be no. But my biggest Zoe complaint, aside from the fact that he treats his workstation, he and I sit in the same spot. So, I call it a workstation. It's our seat in the studio. He treats it like it's a freaking hamster cage. I mean, there's like peanut shells and food scraps. And, sometimes I go in there, and I'm not exaggerating. There's like ketchup on the screen. Like there's all kinds of stuff.
Athlete's foot on his keyboard.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like he's a zoo animal. And so, my biggest complaint though with Zoe was years ago when we were at the other building, I got myself a cup of coffee. I sat down and we used to have an office that we shared that was right down the hall from the studio. We have a similar setup now, but very few of us go in there for whatever reason. Now it just, we congregate in another spot. But I went and I was sitting in there. I had the cup of coffee on my desk and he comes in during a commercial break, sticks his finger in my cup of coffee and starts stirring it around. And I'm like, so what the hell are you doing?
You don't know where that finger's been.
Right. So I was like, now I got to go get another cup of coffee, you asshole. Like, so it was, and since then he has not stuck his finger in. There was another time he wrapped his gym sock around the microphone all day to use it as a windscreen. So instead of so it was, but that's, you take the bad and the good with Zoe as you do with anybody else.
That sounds like a lot of bad. That doesn't sound very well balanced.
Yeah, but his bad is not real bad, right? It's
Yeah,
like,
that's fair. Yeah.
it's like 13-year-old bad. It's not like sinister bad.
Yes. Yes, that's fair.
Yeah, so we'll take that.
Okay.
As far as compromising conditions go, another thing that we asked Mike about that I'd like to hear your perspective is your side of the story when you guys do, Radio Row and you come into the shows on Wednesdays. I think it's Wednesdays, hungover. Perhaps you've imbibed in the devil's lettuce, something like that.
He said the Atlanta Super Bowl specifically, I think, or when they were in Atlanta. I don't know.
Yeah, so that was it the Atlanta one? There was one of them that was sort of no, it wasn't the Atlanta one.
He said it was Murray's backyard, and he knew.
So the Atlanta one was. I cut out early that night because I knew that was trouble.
Good man. Yep.
So I did. I cut out. Murray took us to this bar. That was like, did Felger tell you this? It was like a borderline, I call it borderline strip joint because it wasn't really a strip joint.
He didn't get into the details, so please do.
Just a normal bar with naked people in it.
Yeah, but it wasn't really though. It was, it was just, there were like people hanging out in there who I think were hookers.
Nice. Okay.
But believe me when I tell you that it was like the lowest grade type of hooker bar ever. This place was like, it was like the bar in Star Wars. It was a freak show. I'm not kidding, man. It was like, and I'm like, Murray, I am getting out of here, man. This is just not, my idea is if we're going to go to a place like this, let's have some scenery. This place was like, it was a freak show.
Is that legal? I thought that was only legal in like certain places.
Like Atlanta?
Yeah, Murray's got a different perspective on the world. He's a good dude. Have you guys had him on?
No, we talked to him through email. He's got a couple of things going on, but great guy. Great.
Oh yeah. You guys,
it really is a great, you guys have a great crew. That I think you guys all work. I mean, you tell me, it seems you guys work well off each other. Cause it's not what we like about, we talk about this all the time on our show. Like it's not, I think the best shows aren't like First and Take where you're just yelling at each other all day, debating the same cookie cutter topic. And then you have guys like Murray and Jimmy and stuff who chime in every now and then. But sometimes like, I don't want to say they steal the show, but sometimes that's some of the best stuff. Just random like ad libs from Jimmy Stewart and Murray. And you guys play off of it great too. But
your read's right. We've been lucky. I mean, we've had good, I would say overall good chemistry from the start. And look, that doesn't mean we don't get on each other's nerves. We do.
Right.
You just can't spend that amount of time with someone and not get on each other's nerves, But I think we know, we each know when to leave the other one alone, so it's, we've been lucky. It's a good group. And I think that's part of the reason it works, right?
Yeah.
Is, we've been good about accepting each other for who we are, and and having our laughs when we have them, and knowing when to back off too. So that can that can always help.
No, great.
Yeah. So the year at Super Tuesday, there was, I think it was the year before Atlanta. Where was it? There was one of the first Super Tuesdays. It was Minneapolis. It was Minneapolis.
Yes. Everyone's favorite Super Bowl venue.
Well, no, it had to be because I remember our hangover cure was to go to the Shake Shack, which was in the mall.
There you go.
But that night we went to a steakhouse in Minneapolis that was supposed to be really good, and we just ended up pounding both before and after. And we both got sick. Mike and I both got sick that night. He had it worse than I did, though. And so, we hit the Shake Shack the next day, a little greasy burger and some fries and shake, and we were good to go the next night.
There you go. Well
Working
said.
through it, play like a champion.
Yeah, we don't bounce back like you guys do. You're about 20 years behind us.
No, I don't know about that. But what was I going to say? So speaking of bars, speaking of nightlife, let's take it back locally to Boston. So my question is, I mean, we've seen a lot with, we've seen a lot of, not so great things on the restaurant side in Boston and some of the bars you guys are so accustomed to doing your shows in. You do a lot of pregame shows and a lot of live Felger and Mazz shows. What's either your favorite bar or some of your favorite spots to do those live shows outside the studio?
So I don't know that I have, well, I was going to say, I don't know that I have a favorite. I do like the setup at Banners, which we started to do, once they opened that up. That was sort of a new spot for us because we're kind of in we're in a corner. It's a cool bar. It's got a big ceiling, big TV. So the vibe in there is pretty good.
Yep.
But I will say the one that I remember the most specifically would be Hurricanes when the Bruins were in the Cup in 2011, because we were out on the sidewalk there, and there's something about talking about hockey in the Stanley Cup Finals when it's 75 degrees outside and you're sitting on the sidewalk.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I don't know. There's something kind of cool about that. People walking the city streets and drinking and having a good time. And, it's like a big block party.
Yeah.
So I would say that one, in terms of that specific event to me sticks out more than a lot of the others, just because of it'd been a while since the Bruins had been in the Cup, and obviously they ended up winning it. And so that was a lot of fun. And, again, it was just the city was into it. The vibe was good. Again, people sitting outdoors in nice weather, having a beer. It was cool.
Remember when we could do stuff like that?
Yeah, I agree. Those were good times. I think we're all in agreement there. That's so sad. Like, just thinking back to like some of the stuff we just took for granted. Like you just said it, having a beer outside Boston when it's 75 degrees out, hour before the Bruins game or the Celtics game or something like that.
Oh, totally.
Now we're doing this. We talk on our computers, and that's about it.
Yeah, it sucks, right? It is. It's awful. And the only saving grace is that we're all sort of going through it. So it's not like, you're alone, right? So that you're suffering through it alone.
Yeah.
And because let's face it, those, like you were saying, sitting out on walking on Canal Street or at Fenway, like I was talking to, I'm writing a book.
Nice.
And so I had to talk to Cam Neely recently, and he said that one of his favorite experiences when he was playing for the Bruins was to go over to Fenway during a day game. And because he just loved the atmosphere, and hanging out at the ballpark, having a beer and a hot dog. And, I thought that was, that's like what everybody loves during the summer, right? That's what we do.
Yes, sure is. Quick follow-up to that. You guys used to do your live shows from the Garden for like Bruins and Celtics games.
Yep.
Any funny stories or anything? Because it always looks like there's probably people like heckling you and like giving you a hard time, but the camera probably just misses it because they're professional cameramen and know what they're doing. Yeah. Any good stories from those experiences recording from the Garden?
So most times they we didn't get heckled a lot there.
Yeah.
What it was I've been heckled on Canal Street, though, I'll tell you that. So there was a guy during the Stanley Cup, I think it was against the Blues. And he was just all over us. He would not let go. Finally I was like, dude, we get it. Like, okay, fine. You don't like us. We get it. Can you leave us alone now? So, but the ones at the Garden, usually in the afternoon there were youth hockey games at like 4:00 or 3:30 or whatever it is before the Bruins game. So you'd get these youth hockey teams going by and the kids would start pounding on the glass, at 3:30 in the afternoon. So we had a couple of those, but nothing really. I mean, I don't know unless Felger remembered something that I didn't.
We didn't ask. Yeah, we didn't ask him about that specifically. His big take, but on a similar note, maybe not the Garden, but downtown, he had some good stories. He was saying like, I'll be like getting ice cream with my daughter and hear like, hey, fuck you, Felgy, and stuff like that. Or like, what would he say? Like the WEEI is better group, like those guys walking around and stuff. But he's like, he's like, if I get heckled like that at a Bruins game, that's like, I get it. Like that's expected going in. If I'm, like I said, like getting ice cream with my kid or something, then it's like, noted, thanks, but I don't really need this shit.
Yeah, maybe back off.
Yeah.
So I remember one time I was in a Home Depot.
Yeah.
And I had my son with me, and I can't remember which son it was, but Farrell was the manager of the Red Sox. And I had my son, sitting in the shopping cart. So he couldn't have been more than 4 or 5, if that. And so there was it must have been around. No, it had to be a little older than that. So whatever, it must have been 2013, 2014. Maybe 2013 was his first year here, Farrell's first year. And so this guy comes up to me and starts berating me about how I'm criticizing John Farrell and get off his back. And, and I'm like, okay, no problem. And he was an older guy. And I say older, like 60, it's not like he was 85. Yeah. And he walks away. And my son, who again is probably like 6 or 7, says to me, like, and I most of the time I I just sort of accept it as part of the deal.
Right.
And my son says to me, well, why is that guy so mad at you? And I said, you got me. I have no idea. It isn't
Another
like what I
day.
said. It's just related to the job.
Yeah.
So yeah, it happens every now and then, but not too much.
Yeah.
All right,
So-
that's better than I expected, because you never know with Boston fans, especially like if fucking, what is it, Guy in Cambridge? I'm trying to remember.
Guy in Boston.
Yes, Guy in Boston. I'm not
love
sure
that guy.
he wouldn't have you in a chokehold if he like saw you on the street.
Yeah. So him, I love.
Well, that's
I
actually
think-
a good point. Have you ran into any of like the routine callers before who like you'd recognize by so-and-so from so-and-so? Like, hey, it's me,
yes,
Guy from
yes,
Boston, or
yes.
like whatever.
Well, so Mike in Woburn,
Yep.
who formerly Mike in Attleboro. I met him in Kenmore Square one time.
Oh, really?
Nice guy.
Yeah,
Nice
I'm
guy.
sure they are in real life. They
Yeah, works in the healthcare industry. Danny and
Mhm.
Quincy used to email me every now and then. We have similar family backgrounds.
Yeah.
So every once in a while I hear from Danny. Dakota in Braintree.
On the
Yeah.
landline.
Yeah, Dakota, exactly. You were the best landline in Boston.
Yeah.
So Dakota, I would say I've become, reasonably friendly with. We're not at each other's
Right.
family events and stuff like that. But, I know Dakota a little bit.
That's pretty
And
cool.
yeah,
that is
and-
really cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
So every once in a while you put a face to a name.
Yeah.
And it's you meet some interesting people. So do you
Very
guys do you guys like, what do you do? Do you work? Is this what you do, or what? What's
Not yet.
the story?
No, I mean, like I said, we work full time. I mean, this is something we kind of picked up during the pandemic just to get started. Like everyone else, we're looking for stuff to do when the lockdown first started. But like I said, I mean, I have somewhat of a background in sports journalism from college, and I used to do a couple other podcasts, more like both of us actually work in like sales and marketing and stuff. So that's kind of what my other ones were geared towards. And then eventually it was just like, hey, like we like doing this. We kind of do this anyway off air. Why don't we give it a shot and see how it goes? And
Right.
it's been a lot of fun, man. Like at first we probably did like 15, 20 episodes before we started getting like some guests on.
Yeah.
And when I say guests, I mean like, our friends and then like small, like not to insult any of our guests, but like smaller, lesser known guests. And I think the first big one was probably we had Cedric Maxwell on from a mutual connection we know. And then like you said earlier, man, honestly, Mazz, it's like one of the biggest things we learned doing this. I sound like a broken record, but some people are just really cool and like down to earth. When you shoot them an email or a Twitter DM, like, we were honestly like shitting our pants, like sending some people this stuff, and then send 10 people, maybe hear back
including
from like
you and
4.
Felger, to be honest.
Exactly. And some people like, yeah, like when do you record? Like happy to help, blah, blah, blah. And then afterwards, like, hey, that was a great time, happy to share it on Instagram, whatever. And it kind of just snowballs from there. But like I said, I mean, we know this is an ESPN or whatever it may be, but we've grown some pretty cool, loyal followers and listeners. Like I said, we have some shirts and some merch coming out and stuff like that. So it's been a lot of fun, man. It's really kind of cool to quote unquote meet some of you guys like we're doing right now.
And how do you guys know each other? Like, what's the origin?
Oh, we
of
met in
your
college.
friendship? Oh, you went to college together.
Mhm.
And then Soapy you're the best man at my wedding. I keep forgetting that, but that was the case as well. So
So Soapy,
Now
are you married too?
No, I'm single.
You're single.
Yep.
we're actually like the odd couple. Yeah, I have a son who's going to be 2 in a couple months.
Oh wow!
So
So you're in the thick of it.
Yeah, that's actually like a something we don't talk enough about on the show. Like how different, like, you know what I mean? Like I'm married, have, a house and a kid and a baby. Soapy, you're just doing your thing. So when it comes to like scheduling, it's typically my schedule we have to work around.
Yeah.
Because
well,
I can't do
yeah.
anything till he goes down.
No, it's your son's schedule. Yeah.
Exactly. And that
not
dictates
yours.
everything. Correct. But no, like I appreciate you asking. It's kind of just rocking and rolling from there. But
I can
Coming
tell
up on
Mazz
time.
is eyeing your sweatshirt, and it looks like he wants one. So we'll see
Yeah,
what we can do.
retails.
It looks like he's thinking that he wants to wear one on the air.
Is that one of the show sweatshirts? Is that one of your
Yeah.
podcast sweatshirts?
yeah. And then what are you wearing, Soapy? Soapy's advertising the competition over here.
Oh
I'm
yeah, that's
advertising.
Adam Jones.
That's
Vulture.
right.
I was hoping you're gonna wear
Well,
the
I
Fuck
got-
It shirt. Is that
well,
the one?
I got it on.
That's a
underneath.
great.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm definitely
let's look-
placing an
Stereo.
order for one of
There's a Puppets
those.
T-shirt for you.
Are those on sale?
They are. They're on the website now. They're brand spanking new.
Those
So
are
I went on and bought one, and the woman who runs our marketing department said to me, "Did you just order that on your own? Like we'd have given you the discount.
We have
code."
100 of them out back.
Tony, it's you on the shirt.
Well, right. I figured if I bought it at full price and the company makes some money off it, my chances of getting a raise are a little bit better. So, when that comes up, we'll deal with it at that time. I figured I'd put a few bucks in their pocket. Yeah, maybe they'll put a few in mine.
Soapy, anything else before we let him go? I know we're coming up on time.
Yeah, I had one final question. I feel like he's not going to remember, but I'll ask anyways because I asked Mike. Do you remember? So I used to call in quite a bit. It's been a little while. I still listen to the show every day. But I called in Red Sox World Series parade, and I asked specifically Felger, but for any of you guys, I asked because we've gotten so used to championship parades. When you go down there as a fan and you're in the middle of the city, where do you take a poop? Do you remember that call at all?
I don't remember it at all. No. So I would tell you that, but as a rule, I try to look for Dunkin' Donuts, McDonald's, like places that, because generally,
you'll be dunking your donuts.
Yeah. My sister told me this years ago when I went to, after I graduated from college, I went on a trip to Europe. I backpacked with a couple of buddies of mine. And she said, if you ever have to go to the McDonald's, they have clean bathrooms, I don't know. I've had that stuck in my head ever since.
Good monitor.
Yeah, but if you gave me a specific part of the city, I suppose I could give you a better answer.
Well, I think the answer you gave that day was to wear a diaper, which is fair.
Well, right. If you're drinking at the parade all day, you might as well do that.
The part that sucks is that you're like, if it's a Patriots parade, which it was most of those times, you're fucking slushing around. It's not the easiest. All the bathrooms are crowded. Half the restaurants are closed. So it's not even if you know where the bathroom is, that's half the battle.
Yeah.
I've been to a parade, but I never thought about that predicament until you brought it up.
So I went to one.
Oh, that's it? Wow.
And the only one I went to was because I had to work it.
Oh, yeah.
Was when the Patriots won the first Super Bowl. I was working at the Boston Herald and they sent me out to help with the parade coverage. Yeah. So my job was to interview fans about, and mostly about Bledsoe. Did they want Bledsoe there? Because, obviously, if you remember, Bledsoe didn't go to the parade. And so, that caused a little bit of a stink and, so that was my assignment. But other than that, I don't do parades. When the Red Sox won in 2004, my sister has a condo that was on the parade route. So my parents and my other sister went to her condo and they were out there with the 1.6 million or whatever the number was. I don't remember. Yeah. It was something like that though. And they said to me, do you want to come over? And I'm like, I'm done. I'm like, I've been covering baseball all year. I've seen, Red Sox and Yankees 2 years in a row. Like I was exhausted. I said, I'm going to chill. The parade's for you. The parade's not for me. I've been around these guys plenty. So I cashed out, but I'm just not, parade was never really my thing.
It
doesn't look that fun.
I'm not trying to talk people out of going to it, but at the end of the day, you're committing a lot of time, like an entire day to getting down there, planning all the logistics. And then you just stand and wait for people to wave at you potentially.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, totally. It's really it's one big, again, it's like a big block party, right? Yeah. The whole city's out to celebrate. That's really what it's like. Yeah. So, and then, you all congregate in the bars and have a good time and, and I'm all for that. Believe me.
Yeah. That part sounds good.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
At that stage, I was content to just get together with friends of mine and at someone's house or whatever. And, have a couple of beers or whatever. I was totally good with that. And my eyes are peeking up at the TV because the Bruins just gave up a goal.
Oh, nice. So, good timing.
Yeah, they're down 1-0.
As Adam Jones would say, Bruins are 0-1 when Tony Massarotti goes on the Morse Code podcast.
Yeah, exactly right.
I don't know, it'll be coming out later. Right. But no, we'll let you go. Or go ahead, Soap. You can sign him off.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I'll sign you off, Mazz. When can we expect your book? And what are the best places for people know where the fuck you are, but I want you to plug yourself anyways.
Well, so the book, I think the original plan was to have it out by the holidays at the end of 2021. So, but I haven't talked to the publisher in a little bit. So hopefully we'll reconnect here soon. I got a little ways to go yet.
Yeah.
Although I will say that lately I've been making better progress, and there's no major secret there. So it's a retrospective of the 20 years that Boston has put together here in sports, starting with the Patriots championship in 2001.
Nice.
So
hell yeah. I could see myself picking that up.
Well, and I think now with Brady and Tampa, I have my ending. I wasn't sure that we had an ending yet, but I think we got one now. Yeah. So, hopefully it'll be out by the holidays or in time for the holidays. We'll see how that goes. Sometimes these things run into snags. But I appreciate you asking. Yeah.
Of course.
Last thing, Mazz, before we get you out of here, can I get you to say, this is Tony Massarotti and you're listening to the Morse Code podcast?
Of course. Yeah. This is Tony Mazz. Oh, can I say Tony Massarotti? Is that all right?
Please. Whatever you want. You want to say 98.5, whatever.
Okay. 3, 2. What's it called again? The Morse what?
Morse Code podcast.
Okay. All right. 3. I should have put that together, right? 3, 2. Hey, it's Tony Massarotti of 98.5 The Sports Hub, and you are listening to the Morse Code podcast.
You're the man.
All right.
Good stuff.